Hey guys, it's Kusi. In this episode, we got some more keys in the second part of this week that is more or less considered a push week due to the very manageable ethics. And because this week is rather tame, I've decided to go even higher in level and I will aim to get some 18s done for some extra score. So, and I think I can take this away, not everything will be going as planned. Are you ready to go? And I'd say, let's begin. For the second part of the week, I swapped to the casting dungeon build again. And to start us off, we have an 18 net Terrace, and this one began rocky. After our DPS demanded a bigger pull, our tank did indeed send it, which sadly led to the cast of Mode Core go through. Yet, for some reason, the tank just ran with those mobs instead of killing them off first. One Warlock had too much right away, and left in an instant. Guess that was our first dungeon. Surely the next will be better. Nadarian Slayer, and at least this time I had someone else to help me dispelling. So, to be fair, the first boss on a full melee party is a rocky fight. Get it? Because he's a... never mind. Disregarding that our tank decided to find himself a safe spot and aggro all the smallies, which led to none of us being able to reach the mobs, and with that, the shatter just hits way too hard to proper heal up quick enough. Sadly, because of the lack of overall damage to the ads, we had to wipe it halfway through the boss. So we went again, and this time, we also failed it. But haters may say, that was because of me, because I wasn't aware of my position, standing inside the green stuff while also on the sharded ground, I flopped over, which then also led to the tank leaving. Sorry for that one, brother. After that, I applied to a key that had a guildmate in it, which is a good point to tell you that I joined some random casual guild called A Murloc Stole My Bike. My first key with one of them, and because this is within the rulebook, I'm curious about how this will end up. Under Route 18 is our next destination, and I was determined to perform better than on the last run. So no more messing around. And to say the first boss was hilariously messy would be an absolute understatement. People died to one-shots from Creeping Rod or Sanguine Feast, and I'm not sure if I could do anything to prevent that. When I played melee, I usually just avoid to get hit by those, so I'm really not certain if there's a plan B if you get hit. But I told you no more messing around, so I refused to give this one up. Only the rogue and I left to finish this thing, because even the tank got himself blasted by an ability. And then, I was even outnumbered. Easy. I would like to give you more of a detailed view of the first boss, but that one is pretty much exactly how it looks. Dodge the two mentioned abilities and try to kick the cast as often as possible. In most normal runs, this boss is no issue at all, and even though the trash packs towards Crackmore are really annoying to deal with, I pretty much just marked every spider mob with a skull, so it gets focused quickly, since this one is by far the most lethal one to play here. On Crackmore itself, we got some things to look out for. First, you want to check on our position. You want to stay with your booty towards some kind of wall, or this skeleton over here. The goal is to ensure that the boss runs the lowest distance as possible, so we can clear the maggots faster to maximize boss uptime. On indigestion, I simply put Cocoon on the tank, because that breath hits pretty hard. After doing the second charge, the next ability will be Tantrum. Because we are rather mobile, I tried to get to the other end of the area quickly to take care of those maggots. But Tantrum actually also does some good damage to the party, so before rolling out, make sure you hot some people up, and I usually try to get a Shaden's Gift off rather quickly, so everyone is topped off halfway through the Tantrum. And to end this minigame, we need to ideally make sure to be back to our original position before the next charge. But I mostly failed that task. While doing all this, we also have to deal with the afflicted ghosts, so fortunately we got the Guardian to help out here. Because we all played this proper, we easily defeat the boss and made our way to the next. I hope you remember how the third boss usually went the last few times, so we will keep an eye on the upheaval placement. Granted, this boss is also a bit sketchy because we have to heal the debuffs through, considering we most likely should take care of the ghosts with this spell. In our first attempt, the chain of mishap started with me not being able to fully heal the second ghost. And then our tank decided to just full send it on the shrooms. Obviously, I could have used Revival to take care of the debuffs after Festering Harvest, but what's the point if the tank is already down? Next attempt went a bit cleaner, though we still didn't manage to play Upheaval and Shockwaves to the maximum use. I saw that there are 4 more shrooms alive, so I prepped to save that one with Revival, while praying that we play the next set of shrooms better. And even though we still couldn't take care of all of them the proper way, we still got rid of all because we used Turtle to clear them. Nothing more to show here because we did kill the boss before another round of Festering Harvest, so we made our way towards the last boss. Yet even though time was short to still time this, the last pack added another layer of time waste into that. Because not only did we add one extra worm from being feared, we also added one more worm so far away that I didn't even see how we did that. But we overcame that and then finally started the final boss with barely 3.5 minutes to go. But yet again, this didn't go quite smooth, in my humble opinion. Our positioning was all over the place, to say the least. And then this dumbass healer ran into one of the spores to die in an instant. What a wank. I was absolutely certain we won't manage to time this anymore, but the rogue was sure we would, so I took the CR and continued. And with 14 seconds left on the board, we actually timed this one. Rightfully, I was called a naysayer, and there was nothing I could say against that. Hello. I'd like to take this quick break to inform you that if you enjoyed this video, you could show it by hitting the like button or even leaving a sub. It is for free after all, and you would make your boy really happy. Thank you for your attention, now back to the video. Dragonflight 18 was next, and because we sort of talked about this one in the last episode, I will just show you the juice when it comes to that dungeon. So I think it's a fair thing to say that this tank didn't go as ham as a druid did in the last Dragonflight run. So the trash was a lot more manageable for sure. First boss again, even though we're not playing Mistweaver, the routine stays the same. Use Yulon to take care of Gash Frenzy, and Cocoon for the targeted player from Mark for Butchery. Also, because I still had 50% mana left, and we had the extra annoyance of Afflicted, I confidently say that I could heal this on a 20 as well. Primo, like usual, no issue. And even though I died to Gutshot because I slept while being targeted by the hyenas, we recovered that and finished the boss as well. So only the final boss remains. When I played Mistweaver, I most likely misused my mana. Because on the caster build, I had very little issues to keep the party up for almost the entire fight. Even 2-chesting this puppy to gain 21 rating, this run felt very good and our tank agreed on that. Next up, we got ourselves into a 3-ult 18, and I believe for the first time in this series, this one was anything but free. And just from the party setup alone, I should have guessed that this one is very rough. No dispels and a BM hunter. Obviously this was cursed. This started off just wrong when we used Bloodlust on the first pull, even though it's tyrannical and you would rather have that for the bosses. But hey, the hunter insisted to use it, so we made super quick work of the first pack. And then spent way too long on the first boss. The 5 deaths that we currently had, sadly were due to something pulling multiple packs from downstairs. Unfortunately, this happens sometimes, so no trash talking here. And even though the first boss took a good amount of time, it went eventless, so we go ahead to the second. However, while clearing our way to the mentioned second boss, I could already see what could be an issue later on. People got hit by everything there was. Knockups, traps, you name it. This lack of awareness kept going while fighting the second boss. As you can see, we pulled another trash mob into the boss fight, and that mob debuffs the entire party with an effect that will get you stunned from jumping. And now watch this.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No, 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 no.
He just wouldn't stop jumping. There's an old saying that even a donkey wouldn't hit his head on the same stone twice, and I would just leave it at that. Thankfully, we killed Eudora, thus we only had to finish Raoul off with 3 people remaining. While marching towards the next boss, we mispulled the usual suspects. Double pack leads to death, so we reset it. After that, we pulled everything one by one, which is probably the way to go. And while I finished the pig hunt, our tank decided it's a good idea to just pull the mini-boss right in time to be bolstered to an uneasy amount, though rightfully so, this got him clocked pretty heavily. Next attempt, and while our warrior stayed too far out of the area to die, our tank followed that and thought it's a smart play. I mean, this happens to me before, but the tank legit got hit multiple times and still didn't move out. As you can tell, I was pretty fed up at this point. And here I actually had to rewatch it multiple times to see what happened. The Frosty K legit walked into the shark by himself, taking some mad damage while also being affected by bleed and then getting smacked with the charge to fulfill the Trinity of Fish. Yet we managed to kill the boss finally, with pretty much no shot to finish this in time. On the last boss, I was already so done with this run. Don't get me wrong. Not timing a key is totally fine, you can't win them all. But when you see how people just don't give a shit and set at every possible source of damage income, then I don't know what to say. Obviously, till phase 2, Harlan is no issue whatsoever, and if you trap the ad with a bomb, like the hunter did, you can easily play this. But when you as a range hunter DPS die to the small whirlwinds, you can't do that anymore. And while I let this boss fight run, just look on how many times they just didn't dodge the whirlwind.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
Legit everybody that died on this pull died to the whirlwind. Every single one. Now the tank and I went for a little bit more, but it ultimately failed. On our way back to the boss, the hunter just gave me the fantastic idea to just use paralysis because it's only one button. And even though he's technically right, I have to be honest, I didn't even know I skilled that one, because on Mistweaver I don't have it either. When I told the hunter to consider dodging abilities, he legit said that the poor guy has to use traps, dodge swirls and the bombardment. Like he's the only one who has to do that. With my response, you can pretty much tell how very little I was amused by this. In a scenario where he didn't mess up and told me this, I would have just taken it while shutting up. But when you're this shit, don't tell others how to play their class. Like dude, you're playing a BM hunter. If there's any class that could play a full game of League of Legends while doing full rotation in the 20 key, it's Beastmaster. The audacity on this dude. I was legit angry, which honestly very rarely happens while playing a game. Because, well, it's just a game. But this guy, oh man. Well, we ended the key without any rating gain and I left in an instant. And while I was mad after that dungeon, I did the right decision of taking a break instead of doing one more dungeon. Later that day though, I did apply to one more. Nadarian Lair 18. And this one could be extra big, considering I only did this one on a 10 for rating. The key started a lot better than the less fun run from earlier, and even the first boss came up short against this insane arcane mage. Turns out, having ranges here makes a difference. But it wouldn't be a run with me if it wasn't for some mess-ups. Because usually I'd like to complain about people not dodging the avalanche, and here, me not dodging causes a wipe. But the real struggle became visible after dying. Because of this insane wipe fest in freehold, my armor was almost shattered. And even though I repair every damn time before I start the key, this seemed to be the exception. So no more dying. Even though we had 2 intermission phases of Ularok, we finished him effortlessly and made our way towards Naraxus, which I was a bit worried about. But first, we died again. Sadly, I ripped aggro from healing. Didn't know that's still actually a thing, while the tank tried to gather all 4 basilisks. The only reason I did heal this much though was that I know these mobs hurt on their first attack from my own experience. So I wanted to prevent him from getting smacked too hard. But with this stat, we were on our actually last bit of armor. One more and we are done. And besides that one time our mage got completely ass blasted by the boss mechanic, Naraxus went fine. So the time it took to CR the mage was quite a sight. I will just assume the paladin contemplated to rest the mage but wasn't sure, since he instantly did it after I asked for it. Yet I still need to figure out how to heal this proper, because I got a hard time every time I'm in here. If any of you got tips for that in the comments, feel free to let me know. Still on our last row of armor, we make our way to the final boss with still enough time to time this one. But for obvious reasons, damn you WoW gods, we wipe. The tank got hammered by a molten crash from 60% to 0 in one blow. I prayed that somebody has an auto hammer with them so I could repair. What an absolute chat. He is a prepared gamer, unlike this trash monk player, am I right? With 6 more minutes remaining and lust being up in just a bit, we still got all the time in the world to finish this proper, if we don't mess up. And even though this, again, took a fair amount of time, we killed the boss, which led to us needing one more trash mob to seal the deal. And of course, I get ass blasted again here. This time, Avalanche was bugged out of its mind. I was running the entire time, and even though I dodged one of them, I still got hit twice by some other avalanche that didn't even show up on the ground. I can't catch a break, man. But with this, we end our rather eventful episode, I'd say. We had some good times and also some bad times while doing clean runs and, well, freehold. And after all that, I also got myself a new necklace, because we start to rack up more and more aspect Shadowflame crests. Unfortunately, only rank 3, but still item level 440, so we take it for now. Maybe someone in our new guild can provide us with an upgrade for that. Also, as a side note, if you have any healer tank hybrid class, look out for the Call to Arms Dungeon Edition. If you maybe just work from home, or like me, just work on another project, you can easily make some good amount of gold doing these. You get pretty much 1k gold from just the little bag itself, but it also contains 3 Draconic Augment runes, which, on EU at least, go for around 1.8k each. This is pretty much 6k gold per heroic dungeon. And this is where we end our 8th episode. If you're still watching, type me the Trinity of Fish in the comments. With our dungeon score being upgraded to 2290, I wish you the most fantastic day whenever you see this, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.